My neighbor's security camera faced directly into my bedroom window. I asked him to move it. He said you shouldn't be so interesting. I covered the window. The next day I found a drone hovering inside my yard. When I knocked on his door he said it's legal airspace. I spent 3 nights learning the law. What I did next made him move out without a word. I never thought I'd end up in a battle with the guy next door. I moved to Helena, Montana to escape drama, not to find more of it. After my divorce I bought this small 2-bedroom house. Something fancy, just mine. A quiet street, older neighbors, big skies and peaceful nights. That's what I wanted. And for a while that's what I had. Then Glenn moved in next door. He was around 40, maybe a few years younger than me. Kept to himself. At first I didn't think much about him. He didn't wave back when I said hi, but whatever. Some people are like that. I didn't care. I wasn't looking for friends. I just wanted peace. That changed fast. I first noticed something weird about a week after he moved in. I was in my bedroom, 2nd floor, closing the curtains for the night. And I saw a red light blinking. I leaned a little closer and there it was. A security camera on his garage pointed right at my bedroom window. I stared at it for a long minute. At first I tried to convince myself it wasn't aimed at me. Maybe it just looked that way. Maybe it was just covering his driveway. I went outside, walked across my lawn, checked the angle from different spots. Nope, that camera was aimed straight at me. Not the yard, not the fence, not even my kitchen, my damn bedroom window. The next day I walked over and knocked. He opened the door halfway and just looked at me, no greeting or anything. I said, "Hey, I noticed your camera. It's pointing right into my bedroom. Would you mind adjusting it?" He didn't blink. He just smirked and said, "You shouldn't be so interesting." Then he shut the door in my face. I stood there stunned, not mad yet, just shocked. I thought, did that really just happen? I went back home and pulled a thick blanket over the window, made sure not even a crack of light could get through. I felt sick, exposed. I barely slept that night. I kept thinking about that camera, the red light blinking, watching him watching. Next day I took my dog out back around 9 a.m., still foggy headed from lack of sleep. And there it was, a drone just hovering over my backyard, maybe 20 feet up, dead still, buzzing quietly. I stared at it for a few seconds, frozen. Then I raised my hand and waved. It tilted slightly as if acknowledging me. Then it zipped sideways and disappeared over the fence. I stood there holding my coffee, shaking. That thing had been watching me again. And this time it was moving, following. I was completely done playing nice. I stomped over and knocked on his door again, harder this time. He opened it and gave me that same smug look. "Did you fly a drone over my yard?" I asked. He shrugged. "It's legal airspace." Then closed the door. That was the moment I knew I wasn't dealing with a clueless neighbor. This wasn't accidental. It was on purpose. He wanted me to feel powerless. To be watched. I spent the next 3 nights researching every law I could find. I read about drone rules, privacy rights, local ordinances. I found court cases about voyeurism, harassment, surveillance. I barely slept again. This time not out of fear but focus. I called a friend from high school, Nate, who works in zoning for the county. He pointed me to a few Montana property rights codes. I contacted Maria, an old friend from Missoula who's a licensed PI, and she told me exactly how to document everything. Times. Photos. Patterns. By day 4 I had a notebook full of notes, laws highlighted, statutes circled, and a plan forming. First I needed proof. I bought a cheap motion-activated camera and installed it under my deck roof, aimed it toward the sky. I kept my backyard lights off at night and waited. Didn't take long. On the 2nd night the drone showed up again. My camera caught the whole thing. It hovered for about 12 minutes. Once it even dropped low enough that I could see the faint reflection of my window on its shiny black casing. Then it zipped away. I checked the footage frame by frame. It was him. Had to be. I also went back upstairs and took down the blanket. In its place I set up a small infrared laser pointer, something Maria recommended. You can't see it with the naked eye, but night vision cameras pick it up like a spotlight. I aimed it directly into the lens of his camera. It wouldn't damage anything, but it'd make his footage worthless. Fair enough. The next morning the angle of the camera had changed. Slightly. Still pointed toward my house, just not as obviously. I left the IR laser on anyway. Let him waste his memory card. A few days later the drone came back again. This time I was ready with something new, a signal jammer. It's not legal to use one. I know. But I wasn't planning to keep it on long. Just long enough to knock that little bug out of the sky. When I saw the drone hovering again closer than usual, I hit the switch. It twitched, froze midair, then spiraled straight down into my backyard. I ran over before it could auto-recover. Pulled the battery, stuck it in a box. The camera on it? Still warm. The next day I drove it straight to the sheriff's department and filed a complaint. Showed them the footage from my backyard camera, explained everything. They took it seriously this time, especially since I had the actual drone in hand. But they told me the same thing: unless I had proof it was him flying it, there wasn't much they could do. No fingerprints, no serial number linking it to him. No suspicion. I needed more. So I filed for a civil restraining order. I put together everything: photos, videos, written timeline, copies of messages from Maria and Nate, and a diagram showing the field of view from his camera to my bedroom. I filed it at the county courthouse the following Monday. 3 days later, a process server taped the order to Glenn's garage door. I watched from my window. He walked out, ripped it down, read it, then looked straight at my house. I didn't move. He didn't come over. Didn't say a word. But things changed after that. First, the drone never came back. Not once. Then the camera disappeared. I noticed it while mowing the lawn, just an empty bracket now where the dome used to be. Then came the U-Haul. He packed up over 2 days. I watched through the blinds. No friends helped him. Just him and a man I didn't recognize. They moved fast, barely spoke. He never said goodbye. Never apologized. Just vanished. But the story doesn't end there. Because what he didn't know is I still had more planned. And he never saw the last move coming. I thought it was over when Glenn left. For a few weeks it was quiet. Peaceful. Like before. Then a letter showed up in my mailbox. No return address. Just my name. Typed. Not handwritten. Inside was a single sheet of paper. It read, "People like you ruin neighborhoods. Watch your back." That was it. No signature. No fingerprints. Just a threat. I read it 3 times. Then I sat down and laughed. Not because it was funny, because I was tired. And pissed. And done being scared. At first I thought it had to be Glenn. Maybe he mailed it right before leaving. But something felt off. He seemed like the type to smirk in your face, not write anonymous notes. He wanted control, not cowardice. So I started thinking, who else knew what was going on? That's when it hit me. The guy who helped Glenn move out. I'd only seen him that one day, but he looked familiar. I couldn't place him at first. Then I remembered. I'd seen him a few weeks earlier. Walking in Glenn's driveway. Smoking a cigarette. Talking loud enough that I heard through my window. One line stuck with me. Just ignore her. Let her get used to it. Back then I thought he was just a friend. Maybe a cousin. But now with the letter it didn't sit right. So I dug deeper. I asked around the neighborhood real casual. Went to the gas station down the road where Glenn used to buy his smokes. The guy behind the counter, Carl, remembered him. I said, "Ever see the guy that helped him move?" Carl nodded. "He comes in sometimes. Drives that black Silverado, right? Loud as hell." That was all I needed. I started watching. A few days later, sure enough, that same truck drove slowly down the street. Didn't stop. Just coasted by window down. He was watching my house. I took photos. License plate, timestamp, everything. Sent it to Maria. She ran it. Name came back, Travis Norwood. 2 counties over. No job listed, but had a few minor charges: trespassing, disorderly conduct, illegal surveillance. A pattern. This wasn't over. It had just changed. Now I wasn't dealing with just a creepy neighbor. I was dealing with someone who made a habit of pushing boundaries. And I had to find out why. Maria made a call to someone she knew at a private firm. Turns out Travis had done contract work in the past for a company that installs surveillance gear. Security systems, smart home cams, even drones. Not officially anymore, but enough to know his way around the equipment. That meant he could have helped Glenn set up the camera. Maybe even flown the drone. Maybe Glenn wasn't acting alone after all. Maybe Travis was the one really pulling strings. Then something else happened. Late one night I took my dog out just like always and found the side gate open. It's never open. I keep it locked with a chain. Not broken. Just open. And the lock was missing. My stomach dropped. I walked the yard with a flashlight. Nothing obvious missing, but there were boot prints in the garden bed. Big ones. Heavy tread. I called the sheriff again. They sent someone out, took a report. I showed them the threatening note, the photos of the truck, the license plate, the footage of the drone crash. The deputy said we'll keep an eye out. But I could tell they weren't going to do much unless I had someone on camera breaking in. So that's what I set out to do. I upgraded my entire system. Bought better cameras. Motion sensors. Floodlights. Put up warning signs. I also put decoys, fake cameras in plain sight, real ones hidden. I wanted Travis to think I was paranoid. I wanted him to think he still had control. And then I waited. What happened next pushed everything over the edge. It was around 3 a.m. a week later. My cameras triggered. I checked my phone and saw a live feed of someone in my yard wearing a hoodie. Flashlight in hand. He didn't touch anything. Just stood near the fence, looked up at my window and then walked off. That was enough. I took the footage to Maria. She pulled the timestamped files and stitched everything into a full report. I sent it to the sheriff's office again. I also sent it to a civil attorney in town. At the same time I filed for a second restraining order, this time against Travis. That same week a neighbor down the block told me someone had dumped trash on their lawn. Broken electronics. Wires. A busted drone even. I asked to see it. It wasn't the drone, but it was the same model. And taped to the side of it was a piece of paper folded small. On it were 3 words, "This isn't over." I was done reacting. Now it was my turn to make a move. After that drone showed up in my neighbor's yard, I knew this wasn't some game anymore. I wasn't just being watched. I was being hunted. The cops still weren't doing much. Sure, they filed my second complaint. They logged the evidence, but unless Travis stepped inside my house or hurt me directly, they weren't going to arrest him. So I started digging harder. I asked Maria to run a full background check on Travis, not just the stuff you can Google but everything. His known addresses, work history, old phone numbers, even social media accounts he thought were deleted. And that's when she found something I wasn't expecting. Turns out Travis had a YouTube channel. Not under his real name. But the face was his. In one video he's showing off a modified long-range drone system. In another he's laughing while flying it over a lake, zooming in on people sunbathing. The comments were full of creeps cheering him on. The channel had dozens of videos like that, peeping on people sneaking into abandoned homes, filming people without them knowing. Maria took screenshots of everything. I sent it all to my attorney. But the real shock came from one short video buried in the list. It was a night vision clip. Just a few seconds long. No talking. The camera was facing my house. From the angle it had to be from Glenn's garage during the weeks he lived next door. The caption? "She keeps the lights on late. Lonely much?" My stomach turned. That meant Travis and Glenn were both in on it. The camera on the garage wasn't just for security, it was part of their creepy little hobby. And I had been one of their projects. I sent that clip straight to the sheriff. This time I didn't just request action. I demanded it. And then I started my own plan. There's a guy who works in tech at the college downtown. His name's Eli. He's young, smart, and just paranoid enough to be useful. I told him what was going on and he offered to help. We came up with something together. First I ordered a drone of my own, top-shelf model, better than anything Travis ever flew. We outfitted it with thermal vision, night mode, a high-powered zoom lens, and real-time recording to the cloud. I practiced flying it for a week. Learned how to make it silent. Learned how to fly it like him. Then one night I saw Travis's truck parked across the street. No lights on. Just sitting there. Engine off. I launched the drone. Stayed low. Moved through backyards. Left mode on. I hovered near his truck. Angled the lens in. There he was behind the wheel watching my house. I filmed him for 6 minutes. Then flew back and landed. Now I had him. My lawyer filed a harassment claim with that footage. We added it to the restraining order request. This time the court moved faster. Travis was served 3 days later. The look on his face when the deputy handed him that paper. I watched it from my window. But I wasn't done. The final twist happened 2 nights later. I got a call at midnight. It was Eli. "Check your drone feed," he said. "Now." I pulled it up on my phone. The drone was already in the air. Eli had set it to patrol mode just in case. It was recording a figure crouched next to my backyard gate. Hands busy. Working on the lock. I zoomed in. It wasn't Travis. It was Glenn. The bastard had come back. He was wearing a hoodie. But it slipped off when he looked up. I paused the feed and screenshot his face. Clear as day. He hadn't moved out of town like I thought. He'd just waited. He stayed out of sight, used Travis to keep tabs. And when things got too hot for Travis, Glenn came crawling back. But now I had him too. I didn't call the cops right away. I wanted to finish this my way. I had Glenn on camera caught in the act. Same man who smirked in my face and said I was too interesting. Same man who watched me through my window. Flew drones over my yard. And left town like he was untouchable. Now he was back at my gate trying to break in. And I wasn't calling the cops. Not yet. I waited. Watched him fumble with the gate chain trying to find the right angle to pry it loose. He didn't know I'd replaced the lock with a reinforced bolt and motion-triggered alarm. He was focused, quiet. Then I turned on the floodlight. The entire yard lit up like a stadium. He froze like a deer. Looked up. And that's when the siren kicked in. Not from my house, from the neighbors. I had warned her after the last break-in scare. We wired our alarms together. So when my yard tripped, her system triggered too. Two loud alarms echoing down the street. I walked out onto the porch holding my phone, which was streaming Glenn's face to the cloud in real time. Don't move, I said. You're already live. He didn't run. He didn't even speak. Just stood there, red-faced, breathing hard. I've got 3 weeks of footage, I said. You Travis, your old camera system. Every second. Every drone flight. Every message. You want to keep going? Or you want to be the next mugshot in the paper? Still he said nothing. 2 sheriff's cruisers showed up 5 minutes later. I didn't have to say a word when they got there. I handed them my phone, pointed at Glenn, and let the footage speak for itself. They cuffed him on the spot. Charged him with trespassing, stalking, and harassment. My lawyer added a civil suit for invasion of privacy. And since I already had Travis locked under a restraining order and facing investigation for his online surveillance videos, the two of them were suddenly under a very hot spotlight. But it didn't stop there. Because I still had something they didn't know. Maria found out that Glenn's old YouTube account, the one Travis used to upload drone footage, was monetized. They'd made a few $1,000 from their creepy videos. And that meant I had a civil damages claim. We took it all to court. They tried to deny it, of course. Said the videos weren't of me. Claimed the drone was just for hobby use. But the footage didn't lie. The timestamps, angles, even my own house visible in the background. No judge was going to buy their lies. The court ruled in my favor. Both Glenn and Travis were slapped with massive civil penalties. They owed me over $40,000 combined. And when they couldn't pay, liens went on their vehicles. Travis lost his truck. Glenn lost his gear. The judge ordered the YouTube channel shut down permanently, with the videos removed for privacy violation. But the best part? Every neighbor. Every friend. Every business nearby heard what they did. Word spread fast. Glenn's name became poison in Helena. He tried to stay, but nobody would rent to him. He got heckled at the grocery store. Old ladies spit near his shoes. Travis tried to run back to his old town, but his past followed him. His probation officer found out about the drone videos. Violated his terms. He got locked up for 6 months. Glenn disappeared again. Rumor was he moved south. No neighbors and nothing left to lose. And me? I used part of the civil payout to reinforce my property. New fence. New cameras. Better locks. Gave the rest to Maria for helping me shut them down. I still live in the same house. Still sleep in the same room. But I don't live in fear anymore. Because I turned their game around on them. I learned their tricks. I used their tools. And I made sure they never did it again to me or anyone else. They wanted to turn me into a victim. Instead, I turned them into a warning. You spy on the wrong person, sometimes they spy back. And sometimes they make sure the whole damn world sees you fall. Thank you for watching. For more videos like this, remember to like and subscribe. Also remember to let us know your thoughts below in the comments.